primarily what I wanted to discuss today with a bunch of you is where we go from here. There are two basic sort of approaches that have bubbled up in our discussions, and we can have more discussions about that. But I think it would be important for us to take, what should I say, for us to know where we're going to go with this issue. I think this is a very, very serious question facing Occupy and facing our country. So as a result, I think we have a tremendous opportunity. The people in this group and in Occupy generally could actually be, this might be sound a little grandiose, but could be the people who turn back this drift, this headlong drift into a police state, into a military dictatorship. It sounds a little bit grandiose, I know, but just why not think of it that way? Why not say, this is where we said, no more, we're not going to take it anymore, we're going to turn this back, we want this to be a free country, period. So that said, what I've been thinking about, and I've talked to some of you about this, we could do this, we could come up with an idea of how to proceed, and then talk about that with other GAs. Now some GAs may be very much into a different kind of approach. They may say, we don't want to bother with Congress, we want to build a completely different society alongside the society that exists, and we don't want to even, the sort of anarcho-syndicalist idea of we're just going to ignore the state, we're going to build up our Soviets around, and we're going to not even deal with Congress or the presidency. I don't know that makes a whole lot of sense. It might make more sense for people in Occupy, in this city, in Chicago, in San Francisco, in LA, and all around the country, to actually go to their members of Congress and say, you guys blew it. You passed a law that is unconstitutional. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to just sit quietly and watch this go past. And you are going to make right. You're going to repeal this, and you're going to make this a free country again. And we're going to see to it. We're really going to just stay on this issue until you repeal these two provisions.
10 minutes.
Has that been 10 minutes already? Okay.
10 left.
Well, 10 left.
You said 10 left.
Is that 5? Okay, 10
You
left.
said tell you when there's 10 left.
10
left. That's what he said.
Sorry, I've got all mixed up. Look, the two approaches are to get behind the piece of legislation that Carolyn Maloney asked us to get behind. It's a bill called the blah, 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 super long thing, HR 4192. And the basic idea of it is to take 1022, section 1022, which says, hey, military detention, we're going to put you in the brig. We're not even going to put you at Rikers. We're going to put you in a military prison. To his credit, this is the Smith bill. It's got about 60 or 70 co-sponsors. To his credit, that bill says no, repeal that altogether. Just repeal that whole section 1022. The problem with it, I think, is that the section 1021, which is the other side of the coin, which is not military detention, but so-called indefinite detention. The idea that we can grab you, throw you in prison, throw away the key, no charges, no trial, no nothing, no due process. That, for some reason, they don't really come out and just say, repeal that. Ron Paul's bill does. Ron Paul is a Republican, and I know nobody in Occupy is a Republican. I'm not a Republican. I've never voted for a Republican. I don't like the Republicans. But it makes a lot of sense to take this completely horrible Section 1021, which completely violates the Constitution. It violates the writ of habeas corpus. There is no, as the Constitution says, there must be an invasion or a rebellion going on. There's no invasion, and if we're a rebellion, I don't know. I don't think we're quite a rebellion in the sense what the founders had in mind was people taking guns and trying to overthrow the government. That's what they meant by a rebellion. Nothing like that has happened. We're a peaceful movement. We're a constitutional movement. the Constitution protects us. I don't think that just because Congress voted this way, that therefore that section of the Constitution is nullified. They broke the law. That's the attitude I think we ought to take. And as a result, I think we could do very well to question Mr. Smith with his bill. The Carolyn Maloney suggests we get behind and say, you know, Mr. Smith, your bill just doesn't quite do it. It takes in all this language about all the language that's in Section 1021 and says, well, let's wiggle that around and let's point you over here. And instead of just saying it's repealed. I thought the best approach would be to take the Ron Paul bill, which says repeal 1021, and the Adam Smith bill, which says repeal 1022, put them together. Nobody has thought of that yet, except us. We could put that to our fellow members of Occupy all around the country and get people discussing these things, get some press about it, get some discussion going on about it. Instead of just saying, oh, well, we're going to leave it up to these people in Washington. The whole problem with this country right now is we left it up to these people in Washington. They sold their souls to the big banks and the big corporations, most of them did. They have destroyed this country in so many ways. Leaving it up to them is a really, really, really bad idea. So thank you very much, Congresswoman Maloney, for that suggestion, but we have some suggestions of our own. There's some other bills, a couple that have been brought before the Senate and so forth. So I think again, the two approaches, one of just getting behind this Adam Smith bill, one, or two, keeping our options open, trying to communicate with more occupies to find out ways that we can proceed, looking at different kinds of bills that could be put before the Congress, and then getting on these people who voted for NDAA. I have to point out, Mr. Smith voted for NDAA. The Smith bill, Mr. Smith, Adam Smith of Washington, he introduced this bill that Congresswoman Maloney wants us to get behind, and yet he voted for NDAA. I suggest that that's one good reason to be a little bit leery about that bill. The other thing is, Carolyn Maloney, bless her heart, she actually once was a co-sponsor. You need 218 votes to get anything through the House of Representatives. And that, when they talk about co-sponsors, somebody throws a bill on the table, that's the sponsor, Mr. Smith, in this case, this one bill. The co-sponsors are the other people who are basically saying, yeah, I'm a member of the House of Representatives. If this comes to a vote before the House, I'll vote for it. And hopefully it'll pass. So you need 218 people to make that commitment before it really is meaningful. To just say we got 60 or 70 people, it's really easy to just say, oh yeah, I co-sponsored it. What are you doing to increase the number, increase the momentum, increase the indignation, get press about it? Bring in people from Occupy all over the country.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. And I can wrap up pretty quick. What are you doing to get this bill passed? She was a case in point. She was a co-sponsor of the Kucinich-Conyers healthcare bill. 20 pages. Everybody should read it. It's what and I don't want to get into talking about healthcare, but it was a great, 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 great bill. It's the answer to our problems with healthcare and health insurance. It only ever had 60 or 70 co-sponsors. And of course they could all say, oh yeah, I sponsored this bill, big deal. What did you do to get it passed? Except for Kucinich and Conyers themselves, none of them really did very much. And that's what they want us to do. God bless her. That's what Carol Maloney wants us to do. Just get behind this one bill. It's not going to do the trick. We want to repeal these things, and we got to make a big deal about it this year, not next year and the year after that, and just let it drift forever. So she's taking us down the wrong path. I think what we really should do is make a big deal out of this. And oh yeah, my point about that is, I went on her website to find out if she had even put out a single press release or said anything about that healthcare bill. Not one mention of it. So she did nothing. She did nothing. That's what Occupy has to be about. Is no more tolerance of this do-nothing Congress. No more tolerance of this double talk that we keep getting from these people. They work for us. They work for us. We pay their salaries. When you get those taxes yanked out of your check, those people are the ones who benefit. And we're not going to pay them for just giving us this hot air anymore. I think that's what Occupy has to be about. It doesn't necessarily have to be only about protest. You can protest the people. You can find ways to get these people to do their job and to make this a free country again. And I just think if people, and I'll end with this, if people would just sort of take the attitude that we have an enormous amount of power with all these various occupies all over the country. We can make contacts with them, and we can go to these people in their home districts, and we can really light a fire under them and get them to pass what we want, which is a repeal of this horrible, horrible legislation. And I think we can take a positive attitude and suggest that we can do it.
Thanks, John.
And so if there's